Belly dancers will often tell stories about how people misunderstand them when they say they belly dance, if they tell people at all. So, what's the story behind it? Why the confusion? In this video, I'm going to look at the connection to the Middle East, and the next video we'll have a look more at Western attitudes. Hi, I'm Kashmir, and that isn't me. In fact, the only time I've bothered to write a complaint to the television was when that episode came up. This is Princess Kashmir. Now, Kashmir was actually quite a good girl, but she was poor, and that drove her to stripping, also known as belly dance. Now, that could explain why when I invited a colleague of over 10 years to a show that we're putting on, he couldn't meet my eye. I don't do that sort of thing, he said to me. And I thought, so what is it that you think I do in my spare time? The general public seems to have a little bit of confusion between belly dancers and sex workers, between belly dancers, strippers, prostitutes, call them what you will. Why? It's a big topic, and I'm just going to touch on it, and I'm going to start in the Middle East, where belly dance came from. Belly dance in the Middle East is a two-sided thing. Among ordinary people, men, women and children, they dance. And the dance they do is what most people would recognise as belly dance. And for most people, that's perfectly okay. There is always a few fundos at the end who think any sort of dancing and singing is bad. But on the whole, ordinary people doing belly dance is fine. And if there's a big important celebration, they will hire a belly dancer, a professional belly dancer. Now, the reputation of the professional belly dancers is actually very, very low. In a trade like any other, Karen surveyed a number of people. Among non-dancers, the only people lower than a professional belly dancer were professional mourners, prostitutes and money lenders. So, it's not somebody you'd actually want your son to marry, and you certainly wouldn't want to have any descendants from a belly dancer. The term son of a dancer is a really strong insult in most of the Middle East. So what is it? It's partly because belly dancers show their bodies. They make their living by displaying their bodies and taking the money from the men who should be actually spending it on their families. So they incite lust, which is bad. But they also spend their own time and money on the dance, and that resource should actually be going to their own families and to Allah. And added to that, there used to be a practice where belly dancers would go and sit with the customers and encourage them to buy alcohol, i.e. spend money, and that custom was called thaf, and it's now illegal in Egypt. It has been for quite some time. How bad is it? Well, a dancer I know in Cairo was hounded out of her flat when her neighbours found out she was a belly dancer. She now goes incognito as a yoga teacher. At the other end of the spectrum, it gets really bad. There's cases of people waiting behind stage doors and actually throwing acid in the face of belly dancers. So belly dancers in Egypt have a really bad time. It's not that people actually believe that belly dancers are prostitutes, as in selling their bodies for sex, or selling their bits for sex. There is a clear distinction between prostitution and dancing. They are two different jobs. Most people realise that. There is some overlap, however. Prostitutes, of course, will use belly dance to entice customers. And because a lot of belly dancers are from the very poor, sometimes they may need to supplement their income. But they are two distinct and different jobs. Another little tidbit is in 1995, Mubarak was putting down the rioters, and he called them belly dancers and drummers, and that was the ultimate put down. These people, ignore these people, they are nothing but belly dancers and drummers. So you get the feeling then that to be a belly dancer in the Middle East is not a great thing. But of course, here in the West, we're enlightened. We wouldn't make judgments like that, would we? My next video, I'm going to have a quick look at the history of belly dance in the West and the not so enlightened attitudes.